Ciao e benvenuto! Hello and welcome to Auspol Explained, where I, David, explain Australia's political system. It's pretty obvious what I'm doing. In my previous episode, I compared different voting systems, preferential voting versus first past the post, to explain how the two different ways of voting result in different people getting elected. But let's compare another element of Australia's political system, proportional representation, and how it differs to places like the UK. Proportional representation ensures that a more diverse range of political views get represented. But how? Basically, proportional representation is where candidates get seats based off the proportion of votes that they get. If there are multiple seats up for grabs, then if a party gets more votes, they get more seats. Let's oversimplify an election for the House of Representatives and say that there are only two hot single candidates running in your local area. Only one candidate can win that seat. Greg gets 51% of the vote, and Frosty the Sentient Snowman gets 49%. Well, Greg has just won, hands down, got more than half. It wouldn't have mattered had Frosty gotten 5% or 45% or 49.999%, the result is the same, because Greg got more than half. It's a winner-takes-all situation. But that's a lot of voters who wanted a different outcome. This is where proportional representation comes in. Let's compare with a regular Senate election, where there are 6 seats available for each state. So to win, a candidate needs a quota, a percentage of those votes. Oversimplifying it again, and let's pretend there are only 2 political parties, and each put forward 6 candidates. If the Normal Human Being Party gets 66% of the votes, and Snowmen Have Legal Rights Too Party gets 33%, well, then we can see how we'd get a proportional result of 4 normal human beings and 2 snowmen elected. The results now look a lot more reflective of what the electorate actually wanted to vote for. This is why you're more likely to see minor parties and independents in upper houses, like the Senate or most legislative councils around Australia, the exception being Tasmania and the ACT, where their lower house is proportional. We don't need to get into the details, but the same idea applies. Major parties being the most popular often get a couple of senators each, but this leaves room for the 5th or 6th spot to go to another group or candidate that wouldn't have enough votes to win a majority in a single member electorate. But they're not competing for first place, they're competing for the top 6, making it easier to create a parliament that more accurately reflects the variety of political views in the community. This also ensures that Frosty the Sentient Snowman cannot be silenced. He will be heard. Listen to his drip. Climate change is his #1 enemy. Listen to him. This ensures that no political party can have a monopoly, which is possible if we only had single-member electorates. For example, the first general election for the Northern Territory Legislative Assembly was in 1974. The Northern Territory doesn't have a proportional upper house, they only have one chamber. In that election, the Country Liberal Party got 49.01% of the overall vote, while Labor got 30.46%. You'd expect from that result that at least some seats would go to Labor, right? No, they got 0. None. The Country Liberals got 17 out of the overall 19 seats, the other 2 went to independents. So without proportional representation, it's hypothetically possible for a party to consistently get 49% of the vote in every single electorate and get 0 seats, despite the fact that nearly half of the population wanted them to have political representation. I mean, that particular circumstance would be incredibly rare, but you can see how it is possible, because in a single member electorate, the results are effectively flattened. It's a simpler, narrower band of representation. So let's talk about the UK, a little case study to compare and contrast. They don't have proportional representation. They do have 2 chambers, the House of Commons and the House of Lords, but only the House of Commons is elected. The House of Lords, you get a peerage, it's a whole thing. The House of Commons has single-member electorates, so the overall vote share of each party doesn't proportionally reflect how the public voted. So, for example, in the 2019 UK general election, the Conservative Party got 44% of the votes, but won 56% of the seats. The Green Party and Liberal Democrats got a combined 16% of the votes, but only 2% of the seats. If they had a proportionally elected chamber, then under one model, the Conservatives would have had 53 less seats. but the Liberal Democrats would have 48 more, and the Green Party would have 1 more, which isn't a big change, but like it is a change, right? That throws off the results quite a bit. Election statistics from 1918 to 2019 show that the Conservative and Labour parties have not once gained more than 50% of the overall votes, even though those are the ones forming government. Australia's major parties have only gotten a majority of the primary vote 4 times since Federation, with the last time being 1954, over 70 years ago. Of course, part of that difference in, percentage of votes and election results is to do with first past the post instead of preferential voting, which I explained in my previous episode. Check that out if you haven't already. And of course, part of it is how people vote. The reason why major parties are major parties is because most people vote for them, and the reason why the UK has more diverse range of minor political parties elected than Australia is because more people vote for them. But the point still stands. Single member electorates simplify the results and make it easier for a single group to gain a majority. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Single member electorates make it easier for a party or coalition to form government. It's actually very difficult for a single party to form a majority under a proportional representation system. So in Australia, we benefit from most parliaments having 2 chambers, with one being single member, so the government can be formed easily there, and the other being a proportional multi-member chamber to act as a House of Review. Of course, there are multiple ways to achieve proportional representation. The more seats there are, the more proportional and nuanced the results are, but less competitive to get those seats. The upper house of the New South Wales State Parliament, the Legislative Council, elects 21 members at a time across the entire state. This means that you get more diversity in the results than voting for the Senate, where there are only 6 senators in a regular election. However, all candidates must compete against each other across the entire state. So while the members represent everyone in the state, where they live and where they got most of their votes from aren't evenly spread across the whole state. The ACT doesn't have an upper house, they only have a lower house called the Legislative Assembly, but they made it proportional. There are 5 electorates, but each returns 5 members, for a total of 25. So these seats are more competitive and less proportional than New South Wales. But then those members are dedicated to representing specific sections of the territory. New Zealand does it differently, where they only have 1 chamber, but use a system called mixed member proportional representation, where some of their House of Representatives is comprised by single member electorates, and the rest are through a proportional system. So you don't need 2 chambers to get proportional. You don't even need just 1 system to elect members to the same chamber. So that's how proportional representation works. It allows for results to reflect a broader and more complex representation of the political views of the community. But the extent in which it does create that nuance depends on how it's set up. Of course, there are more differences between Australia's electoral system and the rest of the world. Tune in for part 3, where I'll be comparing the pros and cons of compulsory voting. And there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this and learned some things. And maybe you could share this with other people directly so they can also learn things. And then comment down below what you've enjoyed about learning about the thing that I've been talking about. Or tell me what your favorite video game is. I've recently been playing Halo 3 because I never played it as a child. I didn't have an Xbox, but now it's on Steam. So yay! The time between the release of Halo 2 and Halo 3 on PC was incredibly long, and so Halo 2 ends on a cliffhanger where he's like, "What are you doing?" And Master Chief's like, "I'm finishing this fight." I'm like, "No you're not for another 15 years you're not." Anyway, and of course, naturally, thank you so much to my supporters on Patreon, who I adore in a platonic and not parasocial way. Thank you so much for your support, and also thank you to everyone for tuning in. I'll see you next time. That's all from me now. Bye!